Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's August 11th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and it was a little bit slow today. It didn't the really from about the open till about 9:30. It was a little bit slow. There were some pretty good moves down here, and then a couple to the long side. This is just we had one leg down, and there's a leg up, a correction, and another leg up. There's multiple legs and swings within these swings, but that's a move up, a correction, and a move up. And usually when you get a two-legged move like that and the trend starts back, you're going to look for a measured move, which would be that move right there. And if you move that over here, so we were looking for a possible target all the way down here to 2067 or so, and we didn't quite get there. We got down to about 2070, so we missed it by about 4 points, but that would have given you something to look for. But you got your clue here. You got your break of this two-tiered channel, moved to a new low, and then we tested that low again a couple times, and it reversed, and that's pretty typical. But that's generally what you want to look for when you've got one, or if you had one leg up and then you go into a correction and you start that second leg, you want to measure it and kind of use that for a guide for a possible target. So we didn't get there, and it was a little bit slow until we started this downtrend again, but there's still a couple of trades in here. Um, there's some possibilities in here too, but I'll talk about them, I guess, when we get there. But the first trade I saw was right here, right around the 7 o'clock hour. I would have liked this a whole lot better if it broke higher, but it does have a higher low there. And so when it broke lower, you can go short right there. It is pretty much right off that trend line you got coming there. We did have a break, but you're looking for at least a test of the new low. And this thing takes on off. But you can see we're coming down there. If you'd been here when this happened, this would have been a great place to enter, but you can still enter here. There's plenty of room to get out before the lows. Um, you don't have a measured, if you measured this move, which you should, and you're looking for a target, you see that puts us right down here. That's exactly where we got to when we bounced. So this was a nice little setup right there. Again, I would have liked it better if it would have broke higher here and then turned down, but you got to take what it gives you. So, and that is right off that trend line. And you did have a break, so you're looking for a new low, and you're looking for a possible measured move like I just showed you. And there's a somewhat of a breakout pullback short because you kind of got a double bottom, but it doesn't quite get back there, and you've only got a couple of ticks. It would have worked, but you never know that you only know that in hindsight, so it's too risky, and you just can't enter it. And then you just kind of got down here, and you kind of chopped around, and you got a lot of bars swinging each way, and you just got to stay out of that. That really needs to be one of those lavender circles, and you're just better off to stay, especially since you've already had a break and a big move down, and you hadn't quite got back to the EMA yet. There's just a lot of reasons to avoid that. Because you're probably going to get tripped. If you're going to do anything, you probably want to go short, but there's a possibility the move down could be ending, and then you get a little trend up. This was very tempting here, and you could almost give this a green circle, but notice this little trend working up, and you don't have a break yet. That's the first break, and notice it does come back and get the new, create a new high, retest before it goes down. So but that's a nice bearish bar, and it's got that one little tick trap above those matching. Let me make this a little bigger. That's kind of hard to see. But you can see you got those matching highs, and that's that one little tick and a real bearish bar. But you probably didn't have time to get in that one, and you would have had to wait for it to come back and fill it here and then turn back down. And I just think you're better off to wait. It was even tempting to go short below this bar because it's a big bearish bar, and it is a second entry. But you don't have the retest yet, and so if you did go short here, you just got trapped. That's all you can say, and it is very tempting. If you got trapped there, I can kind of see why. But look how flat the EMA is by now. It's just flat as a board, and prices are on both sides, and that's and you got all these bars kind of stacking back and forth here. You got that little trend working up. You've already had your break. Um, you've already completed all the steps you need for the downtrend, even though the bias is still down. So a lot of people are still trying to get short in here, but there's just too much buying. And you can see how flat the EMA gets, and we kind of go into this trading range. And the first chance I saw that I was willing to go short here was on this, and this is like a little failed break higher almost, so it was real tempting there. But look at that signal bar. It closes more towards the, even though it's got a little red, it's more bullish than bearish. And it would have worked, but if you wait on the second entry, you pretty much get a much better entry. And this went higher first and turned and went out the low side, and just go short real quick. Quick, easy move. And then it just kind of goes flat again. And it's, look at these, it's testing all these lows right here. So that is a good enough reason. Again, you just got to stay out of this. You don't want to be going short. Okay, had a slight interruption. So again, with the EMA that flat and everything just kind of bouncing around, it looks like it's going to trap people to the upside, and it traps people to the low side. And there's not really a whole lot you can do there. There's not much to keep you out, other than all those bars stacked up. Look, doji, stacked up, stacked up, stacked up. Then you get that bearish bar, and so it's just a real flat, lot of over. And our rule is 3 or more overlapping bars where one or more of them is a doji, and that pretty much tells you, if you see that, you got congestion. And when I say overlapping bars, all of these bars overlap some, but look, these are trending. They're making higher highs and higher lows, where you're not trending here. You're just kind of going sideways, and there's a big difference. So if you don't see the difference, study it until you do see it, because I get that a lot. People say, this looks just like something else, and it doesn't. If you really understand price action, it looks totally different. So again, you just want to kind of stay out of that. And I don't think you want to go long right into those highs right there. This was real tempting. This is like a breakout pullback long. And you finally get another chance to go short. Notice the resistance up here, and you break above it, and then you kind of get hung up, and it tries to go higher once, it tries to go higher again, and it kind of gives you that trend line down through there. And look at that big bearish bar. You finally get a nice bar at it. You know, the idea is to sell high and buy low, and that's why you can't go short down here, because you're going short low after a move down, and if you buy up here, you're going long at highs. And so that's the reason these are a little bit different. And I mean, this is another one that's real close to being borderline green, but there is a trend line working up here, and you had a break and a new high, and then you got a little trap up there. And you got a nice bearish bar, and you figure it's going to come back to the EMA at least, but this thing kind of shoots on through, and that's what a reversal pattern looks like. It shoots on through, and you don't get a lot of support right off that EMA, and then it pulls back, and this confirmed the trend line right down through here. You got your couple of touches, and this was the third touch, and that's a nice bearish bar there. There is some overlap right there, but at this point, I would be looking for a measured move like that right there. And that, where does that put you? It puts you right back down here, these lows. But look what happens this time. It just shoots right on through. You don't know it's going to do that, but you're looking for prices to come back down here and test these lows. And so I like that setup. It's close to being a green one, because there is some overlap right there. But you got the trend line here, and that confirms it, and that is a real bearish bar. So that's what I liked about that one. I would have liked it better if it closed on its low and maybe broke lower there. And then it pulls back, and it gives a failed second entry long, and you got this big bearish bar. I did circle this one green because it doesn't leave you a whole lot of room here, so I would definitely wait on that to break lower and probably use a limit order back up in here, and it would have come back a couple different times and filled you before the bottom dropped out of it. So it is a little aggressive, so I marked it green for the reasons I just talked about. And really what this is actually a breakout pullback short is what this turns out to be. But then you got to go short right into the lows, and I just don't. You just don't want to do that, because you could end up just like what you see over here. This time it works, but the next time it won't. And this is a form of a breakout pullback short, but again, look at all the overlap. You don't really get a good signal bar. Yeah, you see it move down, but it's not worth risking it. Wait and see if you get something better. And notice how it makes a lower low and then a lower high. And look how bearish that bar is. And that's a nice new low, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. That's a nice second entry short. Um, and it's a lower high than this one, and then that turns into be a nice trade. And then of course I showed you how we would have been looking for a measured move way down here. um, I don't have this trend line on here, but you can see it working right up through there. And notice you get your break. There's a second entry short right there, but I don't like that one because of the trend line, and you don't get your break till here. And notice what happens. There's probably enough in there to scalp out. I don't know, I didn't count it, but it's not worth risking to me. I think you're making a mistake going short right there. Wait and see, and then of course you get your break and it pulls higher and you get a big bearish bar, and that's your entry. And look at it go. All right, that's any runners would probably be safe here. I think the runners were safe. This played around up here, but it ended up moving on down, and then you wouldn't have got filled. It never could come back. So I'm pretty sure your runners were safe there. Um, and then you almost get a repeat pattern right in here. Um, Trend line's working up just like that. You get your break, move to a new high. I didn't like this signal bar. It's fairly bearish. If you wanted to be aggressive, you could probably go short right there. But when it went higher again and turned down, it gives you this big bearish bar. You really could go short one tick below this bar. But if you wanted to wait on this one, I don't even have a problem going short right there. We do have a break and a new low, but a lot of times you get two legs. And this has been a pretty good downtrend, so it doesn't surprise me that we're probably going to test this again. And notice we tested a couple of times before it bounces. So this was another good setup right there. You didn't get the runner that you got over here, but you still would have got a runner here that might have given you a couple of extra points. And notice what happens down here. This one's probably real borderline being green here, because you don't have a real good signal bar. But notice actually, let me go back just a little bit. It's really tempting to go short right here, and this one probably should be circled a green for a short, because notice that new high, pull back first entry, and then you get a second entry, and it fails. So that's a failed second entry long. It doesn't really fail. I think there's enough in there to scalp out to the long side, but I don't think you want to go long quite right there. But when you get that failed break lower again, and you've tested that twice, I like that one as a trap. Again, you got to figure, especially with this big bearish bar, there's a bunch of people going to go short right there because of all the people that teach trading, going short on a break lower, and that's what traps everybody. And so that's why I like this one. It's borderline green, and like I said, there should probably be a green one here for a short, because it is a trap of some kind to the long side for the people that are trying to get in there too early. So we'll go ahead and mark that one green, but that's green for a short, and this one is blue and real close to being green. But notice that one tick lower, and the fact that there's a trap right there below that big huge bar. It's a kind of a failed break lower, and there's a lot of reasons to kind of like going long right there. I don't like this one, but that sets up your trend line. Those first couple of swings there. This should probably be a little lower here. And that's your failed second entry short. You know you're going to trap shorts right there. And that thing reverses. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be going short right in there. Even though it looks like a failed second entry long, this is what a reversal. Look how we went right through the EMA right there. I mean, it just shot right through it back to the upside. That was a nice trap, and so you got to be real leery of a reversal in here, especially when prices couldn't break lower right there. And then by that time you got all that stacking up, and when it breaks lower right there, you got to almost be suspecting that you're going to get a trap, and boom, there it goes. And if you're not to that point yet, at some point you will be. So all I can say is why you don't go short there. Is experience tells you what you study these patterns until you do kind of understand them. And you can see we're almost flat here. We're swinging again on both sides of the EMA. Um, but the reason being is that we're setting up this reversal pattern, and that's what they look like. You should be getting resistance off that EMA if the pressure's to the downside, and we don't get any resistance. It shoots right through it, pulls back, it pushes through again, but it pulls back, and it tries to go lower a couple of times, and it never can close below that EMA again, and then it confirms that trend line. Those first two swings set it up. That confirms it. Look at that reversal bar. If you did go short right there, reverse, because this is going higher. And that got you into the 2 o'clock hour. I didn't mark any of this other, but you can see the clear trend working higher now. Nice channel, and there's probably a midline in there. Oops. You can see it working right up through there. But yeah, it was a good trading day. It was a little slow getting started because the reversal came right around the opener. We started to find support, and then they trapped everybody and ran it low again. That's what they love to do. They lulled everybody to sleep and made them think it was going to go higher, kind of a range day, and then they run it back down again. And, look how many times they tried to go lower and they couldn't get through there, so they create a trap up here, and then it just rockets through. That's how they do it. So, not a lot of trades today, but there were some good setups, some good moves, some good runners, and hopefully you got some of them. If you got a little confused in here, that's because prices are swinging both sides and it's a trading range, and you got to switch to range rules pretty much. And the overall bias was still down, so notice there's not many longs in here. Most of your setups are still going to be short. Now, if we started trending higher, then you probably want to switch. And there is a trend line right up through here. Kind of runs just like that. And you got your break, and they tried to go higher twice, and it couldn't. Might be a little flatter than that. Yeah. I think let me get rid of that one. I still like it like this. I think it's just right across there. We just couldn't get to it after there. It's like a failed. The range is really taking precedence over this little trend right here. And it might even just be a little steeper than that. I'm giving it a little. If you draw it off those first few, see those first few closes right there? If you draw it off that, it's more like that. And I get a lot of questions about that. Yeah, and that does feel a lot better right there. So that's probably it right there. I get a lot of questions about that. People ask me how. Generally, I use the closes. It's not always the closes, but generally it's the closes, and it's generally the first few swings. But a lot of times when you get a few, in your smaller ones, it's going to be the first few bars. And so if you get a few bars that are kind of stacking up like that, like right here, it's going to be those first few bars. See how there's not much movement in there. It's usually going to be those first few bars. And you can kind of see that working down there. So, and then you kind of finally get a close outside and a new low, and it reverses. So you draw your short-term trend lines because they really help. And, and there's probably even a shorter term one in here. There's probably a little short one there and a break and a move to a new high. This is not much of a break. I wouldn't really call it a break until here, and then it tried to go higher a couple of times, and several times it couldn't. So, but I also I had an email from last week. I meant to share this yesterday, and I forgot. I think I saved his email. Yeah, this gentleman sent me his email on Friday, and I'll just read it to you. He said I could share it with you, so I will. Hey, Mac, I've been following you since February of this year. Like many others, after partially reading your manual, I thought I could trade like you the very next day. I quickly found out I was wrong. After losing some money, I switched to sim only, trading live data and replay as well. I've been doing that for almost 6 months. lately I feel like I'm really getting it. Today I got 4 scalps and no losers. I was watching the big down channel and noticed the move seemed to be losing steam. In the blue circle there was a second entry short with a very nice bearish setup bar. However, shortly after entering short, I realized what was going on. Prices were making higher highs and higher lows, and I felt very confident that we were going to see a reversal. So see, he saw it. He was a little bit late, but he's recognizing what a reversal pattern looks like, and he recognized it before it was too late. He goes on to say, I exited my short for a 1 tick loss and went long instead. That beautiful second entry short turned out to be a trap, which I'm sure fooled a lot of traders. I took an extra large 6-tick scalp. Just want to let you know that I feel like I'm really getting this, and thank you to you again for teaching me. Warm regards, and he leaves his name. Then he says, P.S. Feel free to share this if you'd like to. And he sent me a copy of his chart, and I looked at his chart, and I mean, he's just seeing it really well. So um, you can learn this stuff, and it's not easy. It doesn't come overnight. It takes some time, but if you keep on working on it, eventually you can get it. And so, not much else we can say about today, but I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.